and not falling or, like you said, disassociating from the structure and the strategy that does kind of got to go into that. Yeah. Right. I mean, could go into that. It doesn't got to.
I would say that I just go with what feels most natural to me. So I more so go with a feeling before the sight of things, the view of things. So most times, like it's like a ladder of things. Like I said this to you before. Like there's energy first, and then there's a thought, then there's a feeling, and there's the action. So it kind of goes into like that storytelling vibe. Like I know I want to tell a story. I know I'm placed here to tell stories, but not just like through words, but through vision and execution. And I know that I love colors, I love fabrics, I love textures, and there's a certain placement that comes with those things. So I go with what I feel, and then it just so happens to work out visually and physically, but it's something that you tap into. It's like a language to me that I'm speaking outwardly. It's like a story I'm telling outwardly with like this place actually. When I mentioned the way things are like properly placed next to each other, it can be like a color palette or like a frequency of textures and sequence of colors back to back next to each other. It can be like a color palette or like a frequency of textures and sequence of colors back to back next to each other. So I kind of like go with what I feel feels right. You know, like colors carry a frequency. Certain like fabrics and textures have like a certain frequency or like a quality to it. Like you know like what's it? Polyester is a poor quality of fabric and it produces a certain frequency. So cotton and silk and all of those things being like cohesively brought together feels right. So it's all about what like feels right to me as opposed to like what's gonna not opposed to, but like it just has to attract a certain energy within my system for me to feel like, oh, this is right. You know what I mean? Like it's like arousing to me.
Yeah, that scares the hell out of me all the time. We together, so I'm like, I'm also being mindful of how what you're saying actually makes me feel,
Yeah.
right? And when you're saying that, it makes me think of myself, like, how much I do not trust my cognitive blueprint. I've been working on it. I trust myself to know, like, what you just said, but,
Yeah.
I think where I find inconsistency in that, and that's why I'm doing this conversation with you in a wellness space, because I know this conversation for people, they could pick out their parts and resonate with it, where it's like, I've been predisposed to things that were depleting to me, and then, I associated goodness or right to the things that were not good for me. So that's why I guess I've always been maybe like insecure or afraid of letting my feelings guide me because of like hard lessons that I had to learn from not knowing why I do the things I do. So like now I work on just trying to understand why I do the things I do. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily change it. So like you said, if I feel strongly about something, or it might just be something that's unpaved or unknown. So like, I gotta see that through, blah blah blah. As far as I forget, I can't blah blah blah. These days. I'm seeing them through so that I can learn myself better and understand if that's what I would like to integrate into my long term self and sustainable being.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm also very afraid of just going into that based on how I feel because of just like what I mentioned. I'm just circling back, like just being predisposed to things that were, I guess, disguised as joy or enjoyment or fulfillment and things like that, and they were really like depleting me, and they weren't completing me. So I understand what you're saying. What would you say as far as like where you've learned to trust how you feel about things? How did you get there?
Proof. I think proof shows up every day, all day. I think proof is in numbers, signs, synchronicities, songs, movement. Proof is in our everyday life, like evidence. I don't want to go straight into like electricity, but my storytelling is rooted in the evidence I see in life and the things that the universe and God and life brings to me on a day-to-day basis. Like the way that people respond to me, the way that I can go into a room and make a new friend or a new connection or just like everyday life. That's constantly mirroring back onto me, like those things are real. That's reality or my reality. And I take those things very seriously. I don't just think things happen like, it's no coincidence. Like this is like divinely aligned, divine timing and placement of it all. So I just listen. I pay attention. I absorb and I observe. So all of it just goes into one thing, which helps me actualize these things. Where you were saying about trusting yourself and like the feeling, it's also like I connected with style too. And I say this all the time, like style is an extension of our spirit. So what feels right to me always goes through like this tunnel of like check offs, like a list or whatever. If I go straight to like the feeling comes before seeing because I had moments of me seeing something in my mind before I actualized it and it didn't turn out like the way I thought it would. And it's like, oh, I saw this in my mind, but I didn't really feel it yet. I just went with like the vision. But when I feel, most importantly, when the highest percentage, like 75% of it is feeling, and the rest is like, it follows behind it.
All right, so I have everybody always bring the things that they're creating. You don't have anything for me to create. You didn't bring me nothing.
I didn't, I thought I was just creating.
Yeah, it's like teaching. Because I don't want to do that anyway. It's
I love
very
you though.
difficult, right?
I
You know,
love
well,
that.
I watched her do this at home 1,000 times, and it's like I would stress myself out with the level of very intricate details that go into this. You know what I'm saying? So I'll let you explain, you know what I mean, what you're doing here and what you're working on as we're talking so that y'all can have more insight. Because I know y'all probably see you got this lamp here. We have things going on the table that I would love you to explain for us before I get into any of my.
Yes, so I can talk about the brand.
Yeah.
Okay, so my brand is called Electricity, and it is the embodiment of being an electrical magnetic being that is fueled by, as I said earlier, like the elements of life and all things around us, like shape, color, texture, movement, sight, sound, all the things that are a representation of our inner glow shining outwardly. So most of the tangible products that I make are a representation of our light just being dressed up and adorned and just telling a story. So I have one of my lamps here. This is called Money Tree. I named this beauty Money Tree. You see all the greens and the gold. As I started making it, I thought about abundance. I felt really abundant as I was like putting each charm on, and the color green always like amplifies that feeling for me. So that is, I am working on a 7 lamp collection, which is like a line of just our inner glow shining outwardly and being dressed up. And that's how I feel as I get dressed. I'm also like a stylist too.